Hello and welcome in to Intercollegiate Conversations. As today we're pleased to be joined by Alex Kelly, the Senior Associate Athletic Director at Eastern Washington University. And Alex, appreciate the time. Let's just jump right in. I want to ask you, how did you first get started working in college athletics?
Yeah, I'm originally from Indiana, and I was doing a, post-grad internship with the Horizon League in championships and communications. It's kind of funny. I never thought that I would leave Indiana, let alone the Midwest, for a position. And the Big Sky Conference job posting came up, and at that time, as I was getting closer to wrapping up my internship, I would apply for jobs, and I would print out the job descriptions and take them into the commissioner at the time, John LaCrone. And he would review every single job that I applied for and say, "Hey, Alex, I think this would be a good fit. I don't know about this one," or "Hey, I have a contact here I can reach out to on your behalf." So John was really instrumental in helping kind of get my career started off. For the Big Sky Conference job specifically, he said, I don't really know anyone over there, but I do think this would be a good job for you." And the deputy commissioner at the time, now Commissioner Julie Verlash, she called who became my boss, John Casper, at the Big Sky Conference and said, "Hey, you should consider Alex. He's been great for us, XYZ." And I was actually in the no pile for the Big Sky Conference. So once Julie called, they actually said, "Oh, we'll reconsider him now." And um, one thing led to another. I had two really good interviews with him, and ended up being hired. So I never thought I'd move to Utah or now Washington, but it's just kind of funny how things work out and life works out.
Yeah, certainly. Let me jump ahead then to one of the questions I was going to ask you down the road here, but fitting now. I mean, how important is networking? All right, based off of that story, seems pretty important, but how important is networking in college athletics?
Oh, it's super important, but I also think it's it's kind of a twofold. It's not only just kind of staying in touch and seeing how people are doing. It's not just when you need something. It's just genuinely, "Hey, how are you doing?" Just wanted to see, especially this time of year as it comes up on the holidays. But it's also how you treat people when you're at your positions or who you're working with. I was fortunate to have a conference background, so you kind of are more intertwined with all of the people at your different schools being at a conference, and that's all ultimately what helped get this position here at Eastern Washington because Eastern is a member of the Big Sky Conference. So it's just how you also are working and connecting with people, whether it's at your job or at being at a conference and working with a school, how you treat those people, because it's a big but yet small industry at the same time. Everyone seems to know everyone, so you're about a second connection away from knowing just about everyone in the industry.
Yeah, certainly. Now you made the move, as you said, to Eastern Washington. What was that like to go from working at the conference level to then deciding, hey, this is the right opportunity for me to go work for a school specifically?
Yeah, it's for us specifically. I had a young family in Utah, um, and I met my wife in Utah, but she's from Washington. So we knew we kind of want to get back closer to family. It was kind of one of our priorities, especially I was at the Big Sky Conference for 5.5 years. I also, I don't want to say you get labeled certain things if you've been at a place for a certain amount of time, but I also didn't want to become just the conference guy. So I thought it was really important to get that experience out of school, especially as my career continues to grow and develop. I've got that school background, and I'll tell you, especially compared to conference, it's a different type of grind being out of school. And I knew I could do it. But I also knew that this was the time to do it. The position at Eastern was a really great opportunity for me. And I will say that, especially going to the school, there's been a lot of really great people on campus that have helped me out and gotten to me and have helped me get to the point of where we're at right now.
What's something you know now, having spent a number of years working in this industry, that maybe you wish you knew originally when you first started working in college athletics?
I there was a long time that I was trying to dictate where my career would go. And I kind of used the example earlier um that I was gung ho about staying in Indiana, staying in the Midwest, but as you can see with both my moves since then, I've only gone west and farther west. Um, but I think it's not being closed-minded. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of things that come your way, especially if you are willing to take those and take the initiative to help grow your career. But it's not being closed-minded. It's being open about, hey, how can this help? Even if you don't see right away how taking this position can help long term. It's you don't want to miss out on opportunities that could be right in front of you. So that's I've quit trying to dictate where exactly my career will go and just kind of like let it flow and be open to opportunities as they come.
You've been at Eastern Washington now for a couple of years. Give me the elevator pitch. What makes Eastern Washington unique, special, not only the school, the community, athletic department, just everything? What goes into making that school unique and special?
I've watched Eastern from afar, being at the Big Sky Conference for almost 5.5 years before coming to here. I was always really amazed at the success that the athletics department has had. Particularly, football has had a lot of success over the last 20 years. But I will say you know, I was really amazed at when I came on, for one, how pretty the campus is, but two, the convenience of being, it's a small town feel being in Cheney, but you're also 20 minutes away from a major city in the inland Northwest and from Spokane. We're also 10 minutes away from the airport, so it's easy to get in and out of Spokane if you want to go anywhere. But it's a really pretty campus. We serve a lot of first gen students. So you've got a lot of students that, necessarily haven't started their life on third base. They've had to work for what they've um, to get the opportunity to come to Eastern. So, and in our athletics department, like I said, it's amazing with the resources we have, how successful we've been able to be. And it's a testament to a lot of the people that we have here on campus, whether it's in the athletics department or at the university.
That leads me to my next question. You touched on the success, the campus, location, even for you personally with your family. But in general, what would be some qualities that you look for in a work environment to know that it is a good fit, whether that is at Eastern Washington or just hypothetically speaking, anywhere in college athletics?
Yeah, I think it all starts with leadership, and you're talking about leadership whether it's at the departmental level that you're working at, the leadership at the athletics director level, and then also leadership at the presidential level. We're very fortunate to have a president that really supports athletics and the mission that we have. And then we have an athletics director I've had two great athletics directors. Tim came on about a year and a half ago. And Tim has done an excellent job of navigating the, I don't want to say turbulent waters, but there's just a lot going on in athletics, especially Division I level. And I think we've got the right leader in here to help navigate us through the era of NIL and um, a lot more higher volume of transfers going in and out. And I think we've got the right person for the right time.
You mentioned those changes. Obviously, right? We can't talk college athletics without talking about all the things going on. But from your perspective, from your position, just over the years, I mean, how much change have you seen from like a day-to-day performing your roles, right? Not necessarily name, image, likeness. We know transfer portal, conference realignment, but how has that impacted your side of things over the last couple of years? How much have things changed there?
Yeah, not a ton from the business office standpoint. I think. Obviously, the recruiting budgets are going up a little bit just based on the volume of transfers going in and out that I've mentioned. I do think it'll be interesting over the next few years how I do eventually think we'll get to a day where NIL is housed within foundations at school. So I think there will be some more involvement there as far as tracking spend, how we're pushing payments out. So I do think that day is coming. Big picture, though, everything that I'm doing from the CFO standpoint, not a ton has changed, but there's always there's always things that you have to be mindful of. Big picture, if we're at a school like Eastern Washington, you're not necessarily thinking about private equity or some of those other things that the P4 is, but I did sit on a call last week about it just to learn more about it and how um, like things like that could affect the collegiate athletic space. And what does that mean for us? Because there's always a trickle down effect from what um, the P4 is doing compared to what we're doing. So it's just kind of being mindful of what those bigger picture things are and how they could affect us one day.
Let me give you a chance now to brag about yourself. A lot of people don't like this question because they don't like to talk about themselves. But what would you say are some traits that have allowed you to be successful in your career and have helped you get to where you currently are in your career?
Yeah, I think for me specifically, it's just being open to taking things on. I've worked at places that you can always use a couple of extra people. My first foray into kind of being in the business ops end of things was at the Big Sky Conference when our business manager left, and I was a championships person. I went to our deputy commissioner, Dan Satter, and said, "Hey, Dan, I would love to just take this on. I'm interested in it. I think it could work with my current role and just kind of be able to do both." Um, so that was kind of my first opportunity to get into the business side of things. I thought that's where I really wanted to go, and it turned out that was more of my passion, and that's why I'm here at Eastern now. But it's just kind of taking all those opportunities, even if you don't know what exactly it means or you don't really know how to handle a certain project. You can call or email people and you can just kind of figure it out. So even if you're voluntold something of, hey, figure this out, like you got to figure it out. So you don't complain about it. You just say, all right, well, let's start off by seeing what the problem is or and who we can call or email to figure something out.
I think that's a good piece of advice. But let me now ask you, put you on the spot here. What would you say is maybe the best piece of advice you've ever been given in life or work that you now use and apply, on maybe a daily basis in your current role working in college athletics?
Yeah, I would probably say my wife has gotten tired of hearing this one said, but um, one of the best things I heard was when I was in college, actually. It's not about having time, it's about making time. Um, which in college I didn't really understand it because time wasn't as precious then, but especially having two young kids at home, family across the country. You got to make time for things, whether it's activities with the kids, vacations, talking to parents or grandparent for me. Um, it's not the most convenient thing to do every weekend, but it is important. So it's one of those things that it's one of those things I tell myself that, hey, I really have time to do everything? No, but you have to make time for what are those important priorities in life, and it's kind of same thing on a much smaller scale at work. You got to make time for, hey, if the athletics director comes in and says, hey, I need this project, you make time for it. So, but no, that's probably the best life advice that I've gotten, is making time for the things that are important to you.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good message. And before we let you go, I want to spend the last few moments talking about the hiring process, because here at Intercollegiate, we're very pleased to have Eastern Washington University now as an intercollegiate partner. So I want to ask you a few things in that area and tell me, I mean, over the last couple of years, how do you think the hiring process has changed, or even the pool of candidates in college athletics have changed in recent years? Because in all of our conversations with various people in college athletics, that's something we hear a lot about. So, from your perspective, have you seen a change in recent years when it comes to hiring, when it comes to candidates, that sort of stuff?
We have, the pool of candidates probably isn't as deep as it used to be. Um, I think, especially there's probably certain areas within the athletics department that are a lot harder to hire than others. Um, but and there's also, there's always going to be the squeeze of salary and, job demands and job duties. Um, so we have seen a little bit of that. Fortunately, we've still been able to hire some really great people here at Eastern. Um, but we have seen a little bit of the squeeze there. And I think the challenge also too is getting our jobs out without and kind of ha not just having them out there, but it's really having them targeted to the right people. And I think that's been part of a challenge that we've had is we've paid for job boards in the past, but how effective are some of those? It's certainly a challenge that I have sitting here overseeing HR and our financial department here.
Well, that's a good segue. We always encourage everyone to check out intercollegiate.co, most comprehensive job board in college athletics. One of the things we hear from people that do check out and try intercollegiate is that everything is in one place. Everything's in one place for you. Uh, how beneficial, from your perspective, do you think that can be to have everything in one place for you?
It's huge. And I would say not only from an employer side, but also from an employee side. I think it's both ways. From the employer side, we can see, basically it's like the board of where everyone is going to or departing, which that's helpful because there's a trickle down effect for that too, on how that could potentially affect Eastern. But two, I would also say just being able to target applicants and say, hey, like I'm looking for this coach who has um, ties to this region. If you wanted to go that specific in a search, but just being able to target potential candidates and then also being able to clip them to the job that you have, like that's really cool of being able to evaluate potential employees that way. The system's clean. The website looks really good. And just the functionality of it is phenomenal. From the employee side, I feel like a lot of research kind of gets taken, or there's a lot less time to research because you have a lot more data points within intercollegiate that you can research the institution that you're applying for, or even look at the institution before you apply to make sure that's the fit for what you want in your career. So I think um, all the way around, it's a really clean system, and we're excited to. We started using it. We're excited to really jump into it over the next few months and really use it as an effective job board and review for us.
You've just touched on a few things. Before I let you go, I do want to give you the chance to, if there's anything else to expand on and ask you, because as I said, you did touch on a few of the features, but what are some of the things you're most excited about being able to use, with Intercollegiate and through this partnership that can help your athletic department out, moving forward?
Well, the fact that it's a job board that you're pulling from all the universities is a huge help, and I think especially for us, we were looking. There's a couple of different job boards that we've been posting on, but quite frankly, we don't get the data points to see how effective those searches are. So we have all of that data right at our fingertips, so we can go right in and see how effective this job posting was. we are able to see how effective the job postings are on Intercollegiate, which is something before we had to reach out to HR for any of the other platforms. So we have that information at our fingertips that we get to see how many people applied through Intercollegiate, but also view the job posting through Intercollegiate. We're able to feature some of our job postings, which is something that we had talked before about how I was kind of concerned about how when we post something on any other job sites, it just kind of gets lost in the mix with all of the other jobs. So that helps kind of stand out our positions a little bit more. And then additionally, what's really nice for the applicant review is that, before you're just looking at um, the resume and seeing where everyone has worked at before, but with Intercollegiate, you're able to get an advanced, I want to say a scouting report on each of the candidates, but you can pull from there and really see everything that they worked at, their work history, who they've worked with, whether on reference or off their reference list, and be able to get a even better idea of the applicant that you have within your job pool. So I would just say all the way around it's really helpful both on the employee side and the employer side.
Thank you to Alex Kelly, the Senior Associate Athletic Director and CFO at Eastern Washington University, for joining us for this intercollegiate conversation. And thank you to you as well for taking the time out to watch this video. We suggest that you subscribe to our YouTube page so that you don't miss any of our future conversations or content. We also suggest that you check out intercollegiate.co. It's the most comprehensive job board out there in college athletics. Until next time, life is just a series of hellos and goodbyes, so for now, we say goodbye.